Hi there. Today, we're exploring a topic that's as fascinating as it is unsettling: the rise and fall of civilizations. We're delving into the provocative book Immoderate Greatness: Why Civilizations Fail by William Ophuls. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's explore the forces that have toppled empires and might just be at play in our world today. Ophuls kicks off his exploration with a bold claim: civilizations are hardwired for self-destruction. It's a sobering thought, but one that's backed by a deep dive into history. He argues that every civilization, from the Romans to the Mayans, follows a similar trajectory. They rise, they flourish, and inevitably they fall. But why? What forces drive this seemingly inevitable decline? Ophuls points to two main culprits: biophysical limits and moral decay. Let's break these down. First, biophysical limits. Think of it like this. Civilizations are like a bacteria in a petri dish. They grow and grow until they consume all the resources available to them and then face a harsh reality. Our natural world has limits, and when we push beyond them, we face consequences. Forests disappear, soils erode, and resources dwindle. Ophuls argues that this is not just a historical phenomenon but a fundamental law of nature. But it's not just about resources. Ophuls introduces the concept of hubris, a term the ancient Greeks used to describe excessive pride or presumption. Civilizations, in their quest for greatness, often fall victim to hubris. They believe they can overcome any challenge, conquer any obstacle, and defy the natural order. But as Ophuls points out, this arrogance is often their undoing. The more a civilization grows, the more it depends on complex systems and technologies, which in turn make it more vulnerable to collapse. Think about it. The Roman Empire, with its vast infrastructure and complex bureaucracy, was a marvel of its time. But this very complexity made it difficult to manage and vulnerable to internal decay. As the empire expanded, it became harder to govern, and the strain on resources and morale grew. Eventually, it collapsed under its own weight. Ophuls also explores the concept of moral entropy, a gradual erosion of the values and virtues that once held a civilization together. As societies become wealthier and more powerful, they often become complacent and self-indulgent. The virtues that fueled their rise, courage, discipline, and a sense of purpose, give way to decadence and decay. This process, he argues, is almost inescapable. Take, for example, the Roman Empire. As it grew, the original virtues of the Roman people, simplicity, duty, and sacrifice, were gradually replaced by indulgence, corruption, and a loss of civic spirit. This moral decay weakened the empire from within, making it easier for external forces to bring it down. But it's not just about morality. Ophuls delves into the challenge of complexity, arguing that as civilizations grow, they become increasingly complex and difficult to manage. This complexity, while initially beneficial, eventually becomes a burden. The more moving parts a civilization has, the harder it is to coordinate and the more susceptible it is to failure. Think of it like a juggler trying to keep more and more balls in the air. At some point, the task becomes impossible, and the juggler loses control. Similarly, civilizations face a point where the complexity of their systems outstrips their ability to manage them. This is what Ophuls calls the ingenuity gap, the gap between the problems we face and our ability to solve them. Now, you might be wondering, what about technology? Can't it save us from these limits? Ophuls acknowledges the role of technology but argues that it's not a panacea. While technology can extend our reach and delay the inevitable, it can't overcome the fundamental laws of nature. In fact, technology often exacerbates the problem by allowing us to consume resources even faster. Consider the example of fossil fuels. Technology has allowed us to extract and use these resources on an unprecedented scale, but it hasn't changed the fact that they are finite. As Ophuls points out, the more we rely on technology, the more we accelerate the process of entropy, making collapse more likely. Finally, Ophuls turns to the human factor. He argues that our flaws, greed, short-sightedness, and a tendency to prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability are a major factor in the decline of civilizations. We are, after all, only human, and our flaws can lead to self-destructive behavior. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Ophuls doesn't offer easy solutions, but he does urge us to rethink our priorities. He argues that the pursuit of greatness, with its emphasis on growth and expansion, is ultimately self-defeating. Instead, he suggests that we should embrace simplicity, frugality, and a deeper connection to the natural world. In a world facing unprecedented challenges, from climate change to resource depletion, Ophuls' message is both a warning and a call to action. It's a reminder that the choices we make today will shape the future of our civilization. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, we must ask ourselves, are we willing to change course, or are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the rise and fall of civilizations. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to check out the book Immoderate Greatness for a deeper dive into these fascinating ideas. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep striving for a better future. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.